recently got married this past March.
Yes.
Was the experience everything that you wanted? Was there anything that you would change?
I don't really agree with the whole changing your name thing. Why should the woman take the man's name?
Yep.
So just because I love you, why should I have to change my identity?
Who was actually causing the most drama on the boat?
Fuck.
Okay, are you ready?
I feel like I could take this opportunity to clear something up.
Please.
It is unpacking.
Welcome to After the Edit, brought to you by Cash Money Media. I'm Daryn Carp, and today's guest is the Chief Stew every crew wishes they had. She spent years navigating demanding guests, crew conflicts, and some of the most memorable moments in below deck history. But somehow, through all the chaos, she's remained one of the most universally loved people on Bravo. From below deck Mediterranean and below deck Down Under, it's Aesha Scott. Aesha, how you doing?
Say some more nice things about me.
Never. I will never.
Say I want 3 more.
You're like, say one nice compliment me, more. Yeah, exactly. You're my puppy dog. It's good to see you.
It's so nice to see you.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be in your workplace.
It's really, really nice because you and I are friends
Yes.
and we get along so well. And, you know, we've spent a lot of personal time together and I couldn't think of like
I don't know what you're thinking. There are other people you could have chosen from.
There are other people, but for some reason, I just love you.
She keeps on coming
and
back.
your energy. And I will say you're one of the only people I know that's like the exact same on camera as you are off camera. Like you've
Yes.
always been so consistently bubbly and fun. I
Yeah.
can't think of one bad thing about you except that you were supposed to bring me this amazing sack called chicken chips.
Yes.
And you have yet to bring them in about 5 years of friendship.
That's-
So that's your biggest flaw.
But that's my carrot.
Yeah.
I'm worried that you're going to stop inviting me to stay with you if I one day deliver these chicken chips.
So that's like, it just keeps bringing me back in, keeps
Yes.
wanting me more. Clever.
And every time I like add one more detail as to why they're so tantalizingly delicious, you
Yes.
know, but I'm just not quite giving it to you.
You're really just dangling the little chip in
I'm
front of me.
fuckboying you.
You are
With
doing
the
that.
chippies. Yes, in exchange for your company, your dog, your wife, and your house.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it seems like it's the least you could do is bring me a fucking chicken chip. Well, we have to talk about you personally to start off. You recently got married this past March.
Yes.
It was beautiful. I saw you before the wedding, right before, and I get to see you after. Was the experience ever, you know?
And Daryn was invited, by the way.
I was.
I don't want people to think she wasn't invited.
I was invited. I could not attend, which I was very upset about. You can blame my wife for that. But, you know, girls always dream about the wedding and everything.
Yes.
Was the experience everything that you wanted? Was there anything that you would change? Talk to me about your wedding.
It was the cliche of everyone saying best day of your life.
Yeah.
I completely understand it now. Best day of my life. And you know, I think your wedding day, especially as a girl that's always wanted to get married, that day is so built up. There is so much room for disappointment or regret or something. But we look back on it and we literally would not change one thing. It was perfect.
How many people did you have?
130.
It's a good
which,
number.
no, but it was horrible because, like, so I've obviously lived in New Zealand. I've lived in Australia. I went yachting. I've been yachting for a decade. I've got all these different lives. And then Scott, and then plus the production family. And then Scott grew up in New Zealand, went to college in East Bay and San Fran, and then lived the last 10 years in Breckenridge in Colorado. So because we all have such different places that we've lived, it's like, imagine how hard it is choosing people when you've just lived in your hometown,
Right.
but then trying to fit all of those lives into 130 people. It's like MySpace top 10, but
That's a
on a
tough
bigger scale. And I'm like,
list.
you're like, feels like you're ranking people. There's the one part of the wedding I truly hated.
Well, I mean, yeah, talking to brides or soon-to-be brides are always like, this is my A-list people. These are my B-list people. I'm
Yes,
like,
it's-
oh, have I been on
These are my
B-list?
backups.
Yeah, these are
and
my
then you're like
backups.
hoping that some A people can't make it, so then you can like, but tell you soon enough, so then you can tell the B people without making them think that they're B people, and
It's very tough.
the whole thing.
Did we convince Scott of changing his last name to your last name? So it's Scott Scott. Have we gotten any farther with that, like I requested?
Unfortunately, the request has been denied.
Gotcha.
much to my dismay and evidently your dismay as well.
He could have been something.
He could have just done it for us.
He could have just really gone along with the whole joke, but no, he decided to be an asshole.
Well, yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But no, we realized two things. He's like, it's going to be funny for like 2 months.
A day, yeah.
And then it's going to be so annoying when forms keep getting sent back, like, no, you filled this in incorrectly, you've put your first name twice or whatever. And then he's like, it's so emasculating being with you anyway because you really make all the decisions that I don't think I need to take your last name as well. And I was like,
You're like, okay, fair point.
Fair enough.
Are you taking his last
But
name?
I shan't be taking yours.
Okay, yeah. Because you have your show name already. You have your name.
Yeah, and
Aesha
I
Scott is a
also
great name.
I know that I'm not like the popular opinion, but I don't really agree with the whole changing your name thing. Why should the woman take the man's name? Like,
Yep.
I love my name. I am Aesha Scott. I love my family. I'm so proud of my family. So just because I love you, why should I have to change my identity?
Yeah, I think my mom never changed her last name, which was big 50 years ago when she was doing it. I think
that's like scandalous.
never. I mean, Carp isn't a great last name. It works for me, but maybe if I had my druthers, I wouldn't necessarily choose that. So I understand where she's coming from. Today, I do think that that's getting a little bit more and more. At least I can speak from like the gay woman world. That for Nadine and I, can you believe it? I think for Nadine and I, if we had kids, I think then it was just a little bit easier if you share a last name. But that's like more paperwork than it is necessarily a romantic
And that
thing.
seems to be the most, like, one of the most common things that I hear is people being like, well, when we have kids, I want us to be one family.
Yeah.
Which I totally understand. And not everyone's as attached to their name as I am.
Yeah, well, you have a business name already. Like, I think we talked about it once. It's like Aesha Scott. Like, you just say it and it just goes.
That's right, because we had a whole brainstorming
We did.
thing of like, I was like, should I go by Aesha Jean or Aesha Scott?
And we were like, no,
And we
Aesha
landed
Scott.
on Aesha Scott, yeah.
I saw in the article that People wrote up about your wedding about how you wanted vendors to handle everything at your wedding so you and Scott could kind of just be out and enjoy it. Do you find that like the vendors like did everything that you wanted? Was that the way to go? If you can do it, do you recommend doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. They all just did such a good job. And I also thought, I was like, if they do make a mistake and things aren't right, I just don't really care. I'm not a huge detail person, which sounds like it really doesn't fit with my role.
Yeah.
But I am like at work, but in my personal life, I'm more about the experience and the energy and the fun. So I'm like, as long as there's food on their table and people have knives and forks, I just want to have fun. I don't really care like what font the sign is in and like what exact flower is sitting on the table. Like
Or the
it's just-
tablescape.
It just doesn't really matter to me.
So I guess you might have answered this next question. Who was more high maintenance, you or Scott, when you were planning the wedding?
We were both very low maintenance. I would say probably me because the girl has more like specifics, like makeup in here and like a nice ring. I mean, Scott just got like a silver band, whereas I'm like, I want a really specific ring. So for sure me. But yeah.
Love that. Well,
also, I feel like I could take this opportunity to clear something up.
Please.
Because at BravoCon, I remember saying on stage, I was like, I don't know why people find planning weddings so difficult. Like, you just like email people and things get done. And I saw that was put on TikTok and it was taken so the wrong way. And people were like, how privileged, must be nice when you got all this money. And it's like, I paid the same amount of money for my wedding that all of my friends paid for theirs. Like, I worked hard and I saved and we paid for it. And that was not what I meant. I just meant, I think because I'm a chief stew and I'm used to organizing things, I'm like, you don't need to get as stressed as you make yourself. Make a to-do list. You trying to find a food vendor. Okay, make a list of the food vendors you like. Email them. Are you available? No, you're not. What is your pricing? Okay. It's emails and phone calls.
And organization.
Yeah, an organization. And that's what I'm meaning.
I've never planned a wedding, so I can't speak from personal experience, but I imagine also the reason you said that is because people stress themselves out about making everyone else happy and not themselves. And no matter how privileged or not, rich or poor, you can't please everyone, so that's got to be a nightmare.
Yes, exactly. You can't please everyone. And at the end of the day is about marrying your love and having the people that you love witness that.
Yeah,
and so, just don't get so caught up in the details.
Well, we're going to get caught up in the details of this season of Below Deck Mediterranean. I just got to jump right in because first episode, right off the jump, for the first time that I've ever seen, I think, the boat hits the dock.
Yes.
And there was a lot of commotion going on. There was lots of parties. It was hard to hear.
Yeah.
I've never, been a yachty, but I imagine it's commotion. The way that Sandy can dock a boat within an inch is
Yes.
incredible. What did you make of that? And do you think anyone could have made a better decision to avoid that? I imagine Sandy was not happy.
Yes, no, I definitely imagine Sandy was not happy. And that's the thing. I felt so bad that did happen to Sandy because as everyone, she is the best captain I have ever worked with. She could park with a hair space either side of her. And I remember that night, even I remember popping outside and I was like, man, it's so loud. How can she hear anything? This is absolutely insane. And so I think, hindsight is 2020. We all make better decisions in hindsight. So I don't want to point too many fingers. But I guess watching it back, if I was Nathan and I could tell that she wasn't doing the right thing or couldn't hear me, I probably would have grabbed one of my deckhands and been like, you need to run up, sprint up to the bridge and be like, please just put yourself in place, pause until we can get our communication better, rather than continuing to back up. Because it's you had that 2 meters worth of space that you could have sprinted up and been like, stop,
Right.
But again, Nathan's never been in that situation before. He was panicking and freaking out, so...
And I can tell everyone wants to please Sandy. I mean, she's the captain of the ship. Everyone wants to. Joe said his solution would have been to have crew members lined up along the side for verbal communication, like you mentioned, instead of just using a walkie, kind of do this telephone system. Is that a realistic solution? Would that have worked given the commotion going on? I mean, I definitely thought it was clever to put Joe's opinion after Nathan's fuck up.
Yeah. To do that, you would have to have more crew because you do need a certain amount of deckhands on the aft deck to throw the lines because you are trying to get the lines out. So you're going to need 2 on each line because you're trying to tighten lines at the same time. And then you need one calling. So I think the best you could do, unless you bring the interior out, would be my solution, which is having one person running,
right?
Or asking one of the girls to come out. But again, I think it's so easy to stand there and be smug and say what you would have done in that situation when you weren't the one in that situation,
Especially with all the pressure and wanting to please Sandy first day, first charter. It's really a lot.
Exactly. I think I also probably would have just run and gotten a fender and shoved the fender
little
there
bumper
in case. Yeah, little bumper.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's funny because I've watched every season of Below Deck Med. My wife was the former showrunner of it, and so I sort of would visit you guys, and I was there. And I think most of the drama usually happens, either people in the interior having kind of troubles with power struggles or between hookups in the house. And this season, we're getting a little deckhand drama with Joe and Nathan, and that sort of feels like such a powerful. It's like former best brother friends who now hate each other, or at least it seems to. Does this cause unnecessary friction on the boat? Are they both to blame?
Yes. And yes, that first episode, I was so shocked how quickly all of the bickering started. For Joe to come in and be that niggly straight away. We all know that Nathan can be a little shit. So, he has got to own that. But he is a good bosun, and I think coming in as with him as your superior, even if I had such an issue with my superior, surely you'd wait 3 charters or something before you start nagging. For him to start prodding the beast straight away, I was like, whoa. But to be honest, I think throughout the whole season, they are both to blame. Joe really does poke the bear a lot, and he does make it quite clear that he's wanting to gun for Nathan's job.
Right.
But then Nathan, love him dearly. He's such a brother to me, but he also does have some growing up to do. And I think he needs to learn how to manage that and manage people without getting super hot-headed.
I couldn't tell how much of it was the rift was historical of just everything that they've sort of gone through last year with V and kind of handling that, or the fact that Joe had to work under Nathan?
Yes, I think it's more that because I don't buy that it was all about the way Joe treated V. I
Okay.
think that that's just an easy excuse. I think that they just haven't liked each other for like ever since Nathan started seeing Gail. Joe hasn't liked Gail. The rift got started between Joe and Nathan, and it's just growing and growing and growing. And that's just where it really sprung from. And then, so I think having to come back, and he didn't have a very good season with him last season, and then having to come back and be under him again, I think that it just didn't sit right
Salt
with
in the
either of
wounds.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
Based on a
But
pre...
as you'll see, I just try to not get too involved because I'm like,
Well, it's the outside. Let the outside
you
be the
guys do
outside.
I've got enough on my plate. I've got enough to deal with in here.
And you don't need them coming into the drama with the stews either. Like,
Yeah.
that's your section,
Yeah.
and that's the section you gotta deal with. And
Yeah.
you're dealing with the chef, and you got too much on your plate.
And in terms of them, like, in their relationship with me, like, they're both really great to me and they're both so helpful to me. So I'm like, I'll keep this nice train of communication going. You guys just keep that between you.
Right. Based on a preview of the season, it seems like this season has a lot of ups and downs, which it always does. The boat always provides.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff for fans to look forward to, including a potential love triangle I thought I saw. What's going through your mind when all this kind of unfolds in the workplace? Because I feel like you have so many plates to keep in the air.
Yes.
How involved do you choose to get in a situation?
Yeah, it's really tricky. Obviously, there's always going to be interpersonal drama on a boat. It's a tale as old as time. Like, I have been in the yachting industry for 10 years, and there's always so much drama because you've got a bunch of young, horny, single people on a boat that want to hook up and there's nowhere else to go, and, but we're overworked and exhausted and hungover half the time. So there's always going to be drama, and so you kind of do just learn to accept a level of that is always going on. But I do try to guide my girls and kind of warn my girls and just try and steer them as much as I can on the straight and narrow. Not because I care what they're doing in their personal life. It's just that when it goes bad, which it usually always does historically, that really does track into their attitude in the workplace and their energy, and then that in turn is getting put towards the guests. Because guests can feel your energy. So if you're pissed off or if you're angry or you're hurt or you're sad, that's going to affect their experience. And at the end of the day, that's the number one thing that we have to take care of. They're paying so much money. Like, they
So
don't want
much
to feel
money.
that you're having a bad day.
So much money. I wish we saw more. I used to tell Nadine this, that I want to see them like ordering sushi at 4 a.m. and like
Yes.
really putting the crew, not that you guys don't go through enough, but like
Yeah.
I want that chef to wake up
Yeah.
at 4 a.m. and make a
Yes.
salmon avocado roll. Like,
yeah, why not? Why not?
I just want to see how tough we can go,
Yes.
I'm curious, as from a managerial position, you're obviously Chief Stew. You have to handle a lot of drama. You said that, you're trying to guide your girls, especially when they're in boatmances. Back in the day, pre-Scott, you had your own boatmance with Jack. Early seasons that I have to bring
Yes.
up. So how does that sort of influence how you guide them, having it been on the show and then kind of dating him after, I think, when the camera
Yeah.
stopped rolling,
Yeah.
but broke up subsequently after? How do you kind of guide them on how to handle falling in love on the boat?
I guess the number one thing that I just tell them is it's fine and have fun as long as it's not interfering with your work and how you're feeling in the day, like kind of what I said before. Because what I loved about my thing with Jack, my relationship with Jack, and why it worked so well is because it was just fun and it was silly, and we weren't stepping on anyone else's toes, and we were really good at, like, you would give each other like a little peck when we walked past or something, but when we were at work, and we were really good at making sure that we kept our relationship in my mind I probably wasn't, but we tried to keep our relationship to after hours and like in the cabin. And so I'm just like, do what you want to do, just keep it in your own time.
Do you still talk to him?
No, I haven't talked to him since everything blew up.
Okay. Wow. So it's been years.
Oh, no, he did actually come like 6 months later and apologize. So that was really nice.
That's nice. In person?
Yeah, I was sitting at this restaurant in
Where?
where was I? It was somewhere in Italy. No, I was in France. I was in like Nice. No, I was in Nice. Yes, I was sitting in a restaurant in Nice and I was looking forward to like 3 days by myself. And the last person in the whole world I expected to hear from was Jack, because we hadn't talked since all like the cheating stuff blew up and like his girlfriend was messaging me, telling me not to message him. And I was like, what's going on? Anyway, I was sitting there and he was like, I'm driving past Nice. I don't know how he even knew that I was there, but he's like, I'm driving past Nice on a scooter. Can I turn in and come and say hi to you? And turns out he'd gotten a scooter like towns away and was on his way back to Italy. And yeah, just decided last minute to turn in, came and like sat with me at a restaurant with literally like half an hour's notice, sat with me at a restaurant. And we ended up having beers and having a really good chat. And he was like, I'm so sorry for how I handled it and how I treated you. And you know what? Right when he first said it, I was like, I forgive you. Let's put it behind us, because we do get on so well and he is so funny that I was like, there's no point holding on to this negative energy and not just allowing ourselves now to like have a laugh and have a couple of fun hours. But I haven't talked to him since then. I think because, you know, it was probably a year after that was when I started dating Scott. And I think because the Jack and me storyline was so big, out of respect for Scott, I just don't think it's fair to be seen like hanging around with him or...
And I feel like it had a good button on the relationship. He apologized.
Yeah, exactly.
You had a good time. It doesn't need to be any more than that. You don't need to be best friends.
Yeah.
I will say that was one of my favorite seasons of Below Deck Men
Me
because
too.
it was just it was what you want to see in a reality show.
Yes.
It had it all, you know?
Yes.
And it was just like hot, fun people working hard.
Yeah.
Crazy charter guests, great
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
Sandy kind of, you know, commanding it all. It was a great season despite what had happened, I think.
Do you know, when I filmed season 4, I went to the producers afterwards and I was like, I'm so sorry. This is the most boring season. Nothing happened. Like, you know, I was like, it's just like a real nothing season. And then I watched it back and I was like, oh my God, this is the best
One of the best seasons.
It's one of my favorite seasons.
Were you guys on Sirocco then?
Sirocco.
Yes, Sirocco.
It was
so good.
just funny. Like, I laughed watching that back so many times.
Do you feel like that after every season you've been on, whether it's Down Under or Med, that like there's what happened this season? This is nothing. How are they going to make 18 episodes of this? Like, do you feel that way?
No, not anymore. I think because at the time I didn't really understand like how good they are at like following different storylines and stuff. And I was just so in my own world. I wasn't like paying attention to everything else. But if anything since then, I feel like the seasons just continue to be so amazing. I remember season 10 in particular when we were filming that. I was like, oh my God, like this season's amazing, because no one was fiddling with anything. No one was trying to do anything. It's like the story gods were just looking down on us, and every single charter, like something random and crazy happened that I'm like, how did we get this lucky? This season is incredible.
Yeah.
And this season is even more so. Like this, I think on par with or more than season 4, this is my favorite season ever.
Wow.
Because all the cast are just... all of the casting is brilliant. All the cast is so funny and they bring so much unique personality in their own way. And there's lots of drama, but there are so many funny parts. And to me, when I'm watching a show, I want to laugh. So I love that every bit of drama is punctuated by like a laugh out loud confessional or something.
Well, the Bravo editors or whomever does a really good job of like interweaving tears with like you jacking off whipped cream. Like I'm like, oh, this is going to be a roller coaster of emotions for me.
Brilliant. They're geniuses.
Well, you get 4 stews this season. 3.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, because you're the 4th,
me.
right?
Yes.
Which I imagine is huge. Just having, I mean, we've seen it done with 2, and that's a nightmare.
Yes.
So having that extra one, I think, is so much more helpful. What's going on with your stews, though? Because like Jen and Haley, and they're having obviously you're chief and you're the boss, but is there a huge difference between 2nd stew and 3rd stew and 4th stew? Like, is that the hierarchy and that's what it's like on a ship? Or like 2 and 3 kind of equal, 3 and 4 kind of equal?
No.
Like, what is it? Break that down.
So it's definitely the chief and the 2nd are like the most important and the most like distinct. And then everything after that is kind of like, whatever. not so much when I've only got 3. Like I think we can all remember when Ellie had a bit of her power trip about like, I am your superior. And that in that case, like that wasn't correct, because when there are only 3 of you, even though I've got a second, it's more just like kind of clarifying who's on nights and who's on mornings. But there are only 2 of you to manage, so I'm there enough that I'm telling everyone what to do. So I don't, and I told her, like, you're not going to be making decisions. I don't need you to be doing that. Like, and so she took it too far in that sense. But when there are 4, like going up to 4 is a big jump. And so when I've got 4, I do need to actually assign a second stew, because there's just more to look over. There's more to oversee, and it helps me a lot.
Okay, question for you. With your stews, do you think it's petty for, like what's going on really with Jen and Kaylee? What is happening?
Again, my shock from watching the first episode and seeing how quickly Joe jumped in, I was so shocked how soon Jen was getting her back up about the stuff that Kaylee was doing.
Right.
Because I'm like, wouldn't you wait a couple charters to see if she continued doing it, or to see if like that's really how she is, or just to even show some disgruntled response, but just to straight away be like, I'm so angry. What the fuck? I was like, whoa,
yeah, it's kind of
straight away.
It's like dating. It's like, are they really like this? Or is it just like first date jitters? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, don't necessarily go off a first impression. Wait a little bit. Because sometimes people can be really nervous.
Yes.
They're not, Joe and Nathan don't really have this excuse, but like some people are nervous in front of the cameras or in front of Captain Sandy or seeing you for the first time. Like, there's a lot to take in. So I thought maybe there'd be more room for just being like, okay, that was just day 1.
Yes.
But she's not like this day 9, and so we're good. But there really was just like day 1, like out the gate.
Yes, exactly. I would have probably been more like, don't really like that, and I'm noting that, but I'm just going to see if that continues. But she was like straight to the phone call with her mum, and that was really surprising to see. And that dynamic, without giving away too much, that dynamic continues
To unfold. Is there a moment in recent seasons, either this season or any season of Below Deck you've been on, that you thought would have been massive on TV that didn't air or didn't get the traction that you thought it would?
Yes, I feel like there's something right on the tip of my mind that I was thinking about for last season, but it's not coming.
Does it happen often, or do you feel like that's rare,
all the time? Well, it's more just like because there is so much that happens in the season.
Yeah. I want to do a TikTok of your thinking face. I'm just being like, is she trying to go to the bathroom or is she thinking? And either one, Aesha, I don't know. It's like,
Because I feel like I just had a conversation with someone being like, what they didn't show was,
Right.
It'll pop in. Hopefully it'll pop in. But yes, because
it happens often though.
so much happens during a season. And at the end of the day, each episode is only like an hour and they're doing 1 episode a week. So they just can't fit everything in. So they're going to take the parts that are really important in showing the key factors in a storyline, but they can't include every single thing. So sometimes something would happen that I'm like, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. And then it won't be in the show. And I'm like, why didn't you guys put that in? And they're like, we're sorry. We wanted to so badly. It just like wasn't important enough for like this story or that story.
They usually say, I don't know where I heard this, so maybe I'm making this up, but usually like with Housewives, for example, it takes about like 80 hours of footage to create 1 hour of a Housewives episode. And Below Deck is very rare because you're filming 24/7,
24/7.
And I'm trying not to give the tricks of the trade, but like the whole boat is jacked out in cameras.
Yeah, cameras all over the boat, and you've got roaming cameras as well.
Right.
And you've got GoPros, like all outside and everywhere. So it's like if you take all the cameras and all that footage, that's an insane amount of footage.
Filming for 6-7 weeks, 24/7 constantly is a lot of memory cards.
Oh, so many. And that's why I always say, I mean, yeah, the person that does all the media management is very important on the boat. But yeah, I always say when we wrap and we walk away, I'm like, I feel so grateful that I'm on this side and I have this job, because the thought of having to go back to the office and then work through all of that, like my mind is just not is not the type of mind that wants to deal with that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you want to get off the boat and just like leave it all there and just dump it
Yeah.
out. You've been on and pressurized for
Yeah.
6 weeks straight. So it
Yes.
probably feels good to kind of like deflate
Oh,
and just
totally.
leave it there.
You know, yes, but every single year when I finish, I'm like, we're in this beautiful location. I'm going to book myself into a resort for a week and I'm just going to rest, baby. And then every single time it's like one day and then it's like, oh, I've got to go do this. I've got to do a meeting about this and emails and blah, blah, blah. It's hard to switch off.
You're type A, sweetie.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you. What's the biggest misconception you think viewers have about the Chief Stew role on the boat?
I think the biggest misconception is thinking that it's so weird because I feel like a lot of people, even though everyone knows it's an extremely difficult role, I think a lot of people think that it's easier than it actually is because I feel like a lot of the time they look at the show and they're like, oh, they're just walking around telling people to do things. Like, that's not that hard. And it's like, oh my God, it is so much more than that. Because you're doing the roll your sleeves up, getting dirty stuff. You are making the cocktails, you're helping with all the guest service, you're doing all of that. But then on top of that, you're having to think about such a complex puzzle all the time because you're like, okay, all of my girls, when can I send them on breaks? But when are meal times and how many girls do I need on meal times? And does that link up? And then do those link up when guests might be out of their cabins and when are they out of their cabins? And are we going to do a picnic tomorrow? And then when can I pull the stuff for the picnic? And what plates do I need to get out? And what cutlery do we need? And it's like so much thinking has to go on all the time while you're running around like a headless chicken helping people actually do things as well, that you're doing like 5 different jobs in one brain and it's so intense. And it's only just Barcelona was the first season I went to where I felt more excited than stressed and terrified.
Why?
I think just because I'd done Down Under, 2 Down Under seasons by then, so I'd done 2 Chief Stew seasons, so I was just more used to the work.
Yeah.
So it's just experience. But then Barcelona even was like really hard. And then this season that we've just done, it's the first time I really felt like, oh my God, I just know this like the back of my hand. I'm such a pro. Like,
You've got
still
this.
really hard work, but I could do it with my eyes closed kind of thing. Yeah. Which was such a good feeling. Like, it's so cool when you feel that. And I think about how I felt in Down Under season 1 and just that it's a really nice marker to see how much your skill set has grown and you feel really proud of yourself.
You should feel proud. Just watching you've been on our TV for, God, when was your
Like
first?
8 years
I was going to
now.
say 8 or 10
Yeah,
years. Yeah, 8 years.
yeah.
So, we've sort of seen you grow up, because those 8 years have
Yes.
been so formative from your 20s to your 30s, getting married and
Yes.
dating on the show and not. And so it's been really interesting to see your trajectory into this like managerial role. And obviously someone that Captain Sandy feels so comfortable with. And you guys
Yes.
really jive together.
So well.
The question I actually want to ask is about that because each below deck has their own distinct captains and crews and locations, obviously. And Sandy has always said, and I've heard from you guys, Med is premier. That's where people want a yacht.
Yeah.
Is there any place that you guys haven't gone that you would like to go?
That's a very good question. Well, because there was adventure as well.
There
so
was
a lot of the
adventure.
world has been covered, but I would love to go through South America. Like, I know that we've done the Caribbean, but how cool would it be if we like rocked up in Brazil? Or like, skirted around and went into Patagonia or something. Like, I just think that would be so awesome.
That would be cool, although it couldn't happen on Mediterranean for obvious reasons.
Yes. Oh, you mean where haven't we been?
No, but
specifically in the
any season,
Mediterranean?
anything that you want to see. But is there any place in the Mediterranean?
Well, I also would love. I think it'd be really cool if one day we did like. Obviously, the Mediterranean is tropical and beautiful and amazing and so gorgeous. But I've done a couple of stints in Bremen in Germany, for example, North Germany. That's where Lursen is from, best boat build in the world. And so we'd go there for these like long shipyard stints. And I mean, they don't have as beautiful docks and stuff up there, but I think seeing like, San Sebastian and like the northern sides of some of these countries could be quite interesting.
You and Sandy have such a close relationship. You've worked together a lot over the years. You as second stew, you as chief stew, as friends over the years. She's a mentor to me. I really love Captain Sandy, not only for
Same.
being like a strong, powerful woman, but being gay and being out and all the things. Online, people always call her a micromanager or that she gets involved so much. And I've brought this conversation up many times with her, with you.
Yeah.
Why is that? And do you think she kind of gets a bad rap because she's like a woman in a man's world? How do you sort of see that not only as her friend, as a chief stew, but as a woman?
I just don't understand why she gets such a hard time. Like, you will know, being such good friends with her as I am, that she is like the silliest, most fun, amazing woman, but she's also so wise and so knowledgeable. She's so good at her job. And the way that I watch her interact with the deck crew, she is so fair. She will always guide them, but at the end of the day, she is the head of the deck team. That reflects completely on her, and she is number one. Like, the captain of a boat is responsible for safety on board. So if there's an accident on board, even if it was a junior deckhand with a junior deckhand, if you go to court, like, legally, every single thing falls on the captain's head. So she takes that really seriously because that's her job, that's her license at stake. So of course she's going to be outside making sure you're doing things safely. That's her whole career at stake, and she actually cares about the people on there. And so in my eyes, everything that she's done and every eye she's kept on them has been really fair. She keeps no eyes on me because she knows that I give my job my everything and do it to the best of my ability. So if she's watching you, it's because she feels like you're not doing it to the best of your ability, or you are trying really hard but you just haven't made it there yet. And because she seems to get such a bad rap for that, whereas other people haven't, it does make you wonder, like, are people just mad that a woman is in a traditionally man's role? Because I feel like I see men being like that all the time, but no one says anything.
And you've worked on, not just on the show. Obviously, you work for Captain Jason, but you've worked for male captains over the
and all
10
of
years,
them-
like, in your yachty career. And, like,
Yes.
I'm sure they've done the same, if
All
not.
of them go out and check on the deck team. Like, that's kind of what you do.
Right. And that's just being a good captain. And I always wonder, like, why they target her
yeah.
specifically. It doesn't,
Yes.
because she seems like such a good manager. And one of the things I really like about her is, like, obviously it's her job on the line. It's her boat on the line.
Yeah.
It's her reputation on the line. But she actually wants her entire crew to succeed.
Sorry. Yes.
Like,
yes.
she wants you guys to do well.
Exactly. And that's what I think that's why her and Nathan have such a close relationship, because she has mentored Nathan so much. Like, I think it was the end of season 9 or 10 where he, she said how far he's come, and he's got tears coming down his face on the couch because it just meant so much to him, because she, in Captain Sandy's words, pressure makes us better. Like, she puts the pressure on because she knows that you can do it and she wants to see you succeed. Like, yes, she's firm, but she's very fair about it, and she won't push you to do anything that she doesn't think that you're not genuinely capable of.
Firm reiterates trust, and that she knows what the fuck she's doing. Because if she
Yes.
wasn't firm, you can't trust a leader that's, like, very
No.
wishy-washy. You just can't.
No, exactly. Especially one who's driving like a giant ass boat.
Worth
You want them to be
100
confident.
million.
Yes.
Last question before we get into the game. We're, starting the season off. We've got a long way to go in watching this season in Croatia.
Croatia.
Go down. What surprised you, looking back, what surprised you the most about this season? And if you could change one thing, what would it be?
Oh, wow. The thing that surprised me the most about this season was the third stew thing, because that, I know none of the production or anyone told me about that. They purposely kept it as a complete surprise. And when I first got on the boat and Sandy gave me the stack of CVs, I only fanned it out to 2 because I always just expect 2. And when she said keep going, immediately my mind knew what she meant, and it's like, my whole world just exploded. They didn't show it. They didn't have enough time to show it. But my first reaction was to drop onto the ground, onto my knees, and I just started crying because it was like the sweetest flood of relief that you could ever feel. Because as much as I love the seasons, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do walk onto the boat and I'm like, fuck. because it's so hard and it's so much work. So that was an amazing surprise. Probably not the answer you were quite after, but you know.
You did say you were like just as happy on your wedding day as you were
And when
with
Scott
Kate.
proposed to me,
Scott
it was
proposed,
like
yes.
if you knew how hard Below Deck was to film, you would feel just like they were just as sweet as well. And then if I could go back and change anything, I mean, not to brag, but for me personally, no. I think I did a pretty good job. My interior team were amazing, and just having the three, it's probably the season that I'm the proudest of in terms of what we were able to put out to the guests because we had enough hands to do it.
I can't wait.
And and like I say, honestly, best season ever. I know I say that every season, but this is like so good.
I see you glowing. I mean, I see
Yeah.
you talk about every season. I'm so happy. This is, one of my favorite shows. So I'm really looking forward to this whole season. It's going to be great.
Yay.
And you are so great. Do you mind if we play a game?
I would love to. I love games.
Okay, we're going to play an after the edit game that I love so much called Confession Clock Roulette.
Okay.
We're going to put 60 seconds on the clock, and
sounds stressful.
I'm going to give you rapid fire questions, which I know you can handle. You can either answer them truthfully,
Yeah.
or say roulette, which means you'll skip it. Okay.
Okay.
Once the 60 seconds are up, I'm going to give you a random word for every roulette that you've said, and you have to look them up in your camera roll and then show the people what picture comes up. Okay. So you want to answer truthfully.
Okay.
Do you have your phone with you?
No, may I please have my phone?
Let's get your phone together
You see, I'm
because
a professional girly.
I do think you're going to be able to answer these truthfully.
Okay.
I trust you,
Thank
but
you.
I don't, The question is, what do you value more, truth or what's in that camera roll there, Aesha Scott? So,
Well, I'm not that juicy on here. I've been with Scott for 6 years, so the juice ran out a while
I just
ago.
feel like you like screenshot weird shit. Like that's what I think that you do. I don't even think it's like, ooh, this is gonna get her in trouble. I think this is just gonna like further how people think that you're so bizarre. And I love this. I love this about you. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, but also so nervous.
Okay, start the
I'm
clock.
so bad. Okay.
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Which Below Deck cast member would be the worst roommate?
Ellie, because of the length of time to get ready and all the hair.
Most likely to survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Probably Luke, because he's so big, he'd just run away from them. I don't know.
Who is most likely to become a captain one day?
Joe.
Most likely to get kicked off a charter?
Kicked off a charter. Oh, Joe and Nathan.
What makes a good yachty?
Sense of urgency, good work ethic. Don't complain.
Who's most likely to text their ex after midnight?
Kizzy.
Name
And everyone else's exes.
Name an immediate red flag with charter guests where you know they're going to be difficult.
If I crack one of my brilliant jokes during the walkthrough and they don't laugh, I know it's not going to be a good time.
Most likely to become a housewife.
Ooh, Kathy.
If you could recast one position from season 9, which position would it be and why?
I do love her so much, but Brie, because that laundry just did my effing head in.
Her color coding, though, she tried.
I know.
She tried.
I know, I love her. She's great.
She
but
really
that
tried.
laundry just...
I know, it's really bad. Okay, a few more. Who was most likely to become best friends with a guest and forget they're working?
Kathy again, because she wants to be a guest so badly.
Looking back now, who was actually causing the most drama on the boat?
And of all time, Ellie. I was so surprised watching back season 9 and seeing all of those conversations I missed.
Do you ever eat food left over from the guests?
Oh my gosh, all the time. I eat it off their plate as I'm walking it down to the pantry.
I knew you
Usually not even fingers. I'm just like,
Stuffing it into your
yeah,
mouth.
man, we do not get much time to eat. I don't care.
One last question for you. If Bravo made you captain of the entire Below Deck universe for one day, what's the first rule you're implementing?
Every lunchtime has to be curry.
I take it you like a curry,
I
Aesha.
love curry so much. Specifically Thai, specifically Penang, medium spicy fried tofu.
So you'd make everyone eat the food that you would like.
Yes.
Solid
Actually,
captain
you know what?
choice.
Not just curry, Thai. Every lunchtime has to be Thai.
I like your
Strictly.
You're firm. You're going to get a
Yes.
little shit online
Firm
for it,
but fair.
firm but fair.
Yes.
All right, well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening to After the Edit, brought to you by Cash Money Media. Huge thanks to my friend and the Chief Stew of the Stars, Aesha Scott, for joining me and giving us a look behind the scenes of it all. If you love the episode, be sure to follow, rate, and subscribe to After the Edit on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and share it with your fellow reality TV fans. I'm Daryn Carp, and I'll see you next time right here After the Edit.
It is on fire.
Yay, I loved that.
We-
That was so
You're
fun.
just lovely as always.